Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. My name is Latrice Williams McKnight, and you are watching the Gospelology Podcast, the place where we build a bridge for our youth between the miraculous powers of Jesus Christ and the miraculous world of science. And we are so excited about today's episode. Today, we are talking to an incredible doctor, a chemist, a businesswoman, a mother, and a fiance. Okay. And like so many of us, she is multi-passionate and she loves what she does. She is now currently an FD working for the FDA as a quality assurance specialist. And she is also what I love to call a sister of mine. No, we are not of the same sorority, but we are both sisters of a sorority. And she is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I am so blessed to have her with me tonight. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about her background too. I just love the fact that we have Black women in STEM, and she is phenomenal. Wait till y'all hear about my sister right here. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from Clark Atlantic University in Atlanta, Georgia. She has a master's degree in organic chemistry from Virginia Polytech Institute and State University, what we here know as Virginia Tech. And then she also has a PhD in synthetic organic chemistry from the University of Florida in Gainesville. I have the honor and the pleasure tonight to be with Dr. Sharita Mack Lamore, and she is known as Dr. Mack. So tonight you have with you Dr. Mack and Pro Mack. And so Dr. Sharita, I am so excited to have you with me tonight. Oh my gosh, I am just so excited about everything about what we're going to talk about and sharing some things for parents that they can do with their children for STEM, and then just sharing a little bit about you and how you just came into the world of science. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Could you please just say hello to our guest tonight?
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I am extremely nervous, but I am here.
You're doing wonderful. You're doing wonderful. I'm just so excited that you've taken the invitation just to be with us here tonight and just to share with our audience a little bit about what gospelology is all about. And so I wanted to just share, we have a few questions that we'd like to ask you, and let's get started. I want you to just do me this. Can you tell us about your interest in STEM at an early age? Was it an early age that you were connected with STEM? Tell us a little bit about that. How was it? What was your interest? What sparked this chemical reaction in you to continue in the world of science?
Well, I think, we've talked a lot, and I told you that my interest in science started probably in middle school, and I'm a native of DC, right? So I went to middle school in Northwest at Francis Junior High School and high school at Ballou Senior High School. So I grew up in Southeast. So in middle school, we had to do a lot of science fair projects and things like that. And my dad really pushed that interest in science. Like he was with every experiment, every volcano, every light bulb, everything. And so that's where that interest started. After high school, my middle school fed into a different high school. After middle school, my middle school fed into a different high school, which was Wilson. Because I had this passion for math and science, I went to Ballou. At that time in the 80s, Ballou was a math science high school. Now, back in the 80s, each of the high schools were kind of specialized. So we had high schools that specialized in engineering, tech, barber. We had all kinds of specialties. Ballou's specialty was math and science. So I ended up back on the other side of the river, east of the river, and I attended Ballou in the math science program. And there I was able to really just thrive. The interesting thing about being at Ballou is because I was in the math and science program, I didn't stand out. I wasn't a nerd. I didn't seem unusual. I was with a bunch of students that were just like me. We all had a passion for math and or science. So it made things sort of normal.
That's awesome. Something that you said that was just sparked me. I mean, it just took me to another level. You talked about your dad being involved in your experiments. And I think that it's so important that our parents realize that we must stay connected with our children's interest and be involved with whatever they love to do. I think that is so important for us to actually be able to feed their passions, because you never know what you're feeding. And I know your dad knew what he had when he was feeding you.
So true, Promac. I often think neither of my parents finished, well, my mom finished high school, my dad didn't. So neither of my
Mm,
parents went to college, which was very interesting for me. But my dad saw that passion in me and he
mm,
nurtured it. He really cultivated it. He didn't understand a lot, but he knew that it was what I liked. And so we
mm,
would take these big science boards into school, every science fair project. He was just there, and he just pushed, and we'd go to hardware stores and things like that, and we just do the best that we could.
mhm,
The key was he was always there, like every science fair, even if he didn't understand, even if he couldn't make sense of it, he just stood there right beside me.
mm.
So my dad was really a driving force, and early on he pushed me into science. Like he's like, if you like it, stay with it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That right there is a testimony to all parents. When you feed your child's interest, they will grow up and do what they love to do, not what they have to do. And so I'm just loving your passion and your dad's passion, and I'm so grateful to him. And I'm sure the FDA is grateful today for your dad. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at the FDA?
Absolutely. I absolutely love what I do at the FDA. I'm one of the few people who had a passion early on, starting middle school, um, cultivated it through high school, studied it in college, and I'm actually in my career field. So at the FDA, I'm a quality assessment lead, as you mentioned, and I work in oncology, specifically hematology, and I work within the drug approval process. So what I do is I'm a part of a team that reviews applications that come in from big pharma, that's seeking approval for different drugs, but specifically in hematology. Hematology is my passion,
Mm,
because both my parents died from blood cancers. So just
mm.
to be pushed into that field gives me a great deal of satisfaction to see the development and advancement in the drugs in blood cancers.
Wow. You know, when you said your love is in hematology, and we talked about the blood, and we on gospelology. See, I'm about to go to church on y'all tonight, okay? Because there's something about the blood. And I can tell people tonight that the blood still works, okay? When we talk about the blood of Jesus. And so this is just amazing, and how you would just place, how God seemed fit to place you in this field, where you're studying something that affected your family, and it was an immediate effect. It wasn't something that you had from a distance, but this was right there. And I just applaud you and everything that you do in the world of science. And that's why we're here. That's why I wanted to talk to you, and what you do and how you do it. Um, I love the fact that you kind of explained this already, but what made you pursue a STEM career? I know you said how your dad, and how he was there for you and you love this, but it's something about loving what you do. A lot of us love what we do when we're younger, when we're smaller, when we're little kids, but we don't get to pursue what we do. You actually had an opportunity to pursue, like you said, you're lucky, where you pursued your passion. So, what made you pursue a STEM career?
So interestingly enough, when I went to college, although my passion was math and science, my chosen career field was to be a medical doctor.
Okay.
And so I went to college with the intent of majoring in chemistry, chemistry pre-med.
Mhm.
Probably around my junior year, I figured, oh, I have an aversion to blood. I cannot stand the sight of it. I can't fathom the thought of cutting flesh. I need to pivot. And so I quickly pivoted to say, okay, if I can't become an MD, I'm going to be a PhD, because I know the impact that science has on the world
Mm,
at large. And so I have a passion to help. That's my desire. And so the next step from getting my MD was my PhD in chemistry and to do research, which is
mm,
why I chose synthetic organic chemistry, which is kind of technical, but all that means is what I like to do, or what my goal was in pursuing my PhD, was to recreate some of the things that nature so elegantly makes. So my desire was to make drugs. So therefore, I would have still been related to the patients to some extent. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I still had some interaction or some influence in healthcare. So that's how
Wow.
I ended up in chemistry per se. So
Wow.
the key with that is, although I didn't pursue the path that I desired, I still, excelled. So you can easily pivot and, do something different if you figure out, okay, well, this is what I want. That's not working out. Let me try something a little different.
I love it. And that pivot is something that we've probably all had to do in this season, especially with Corona and the coronavirus going around. And we all had to think about the things that we do and do them differently and had to pivot. But when we talked, we found that we had such interest in so many things. And one of the things that we both were was the blood thing. It was like, oh, and your story was so similar to mine, because my interest in I was a pre-med major in the beginning. And when that thing happened to me with that blood, that was it. But I realized that when I took that pivot, I pivoted and I went to the world of education. Because I love to teach. I love to talk, as everybody who knows me knows I love to do. But I always knew that I was supposed to help children in some way. So when I made that pivot into education, God began to speak to me to help me to understand that it wasn't the physical that I wanted you to heal, it was the spiritual. And so that's how I got into children's ministry, youth ministry, children's pastor, youth pastor, in that field, but I still had a love for science. So I was like, Lord, there's something that you're doing here. Okay. And so to connect the two, and then to talk to a beautiful sister like yourself, who is a Christian and who loves God, and to hear you in your field as well, it's just amazing. Literally, it's amazing, and that's one of the things that I wanted to also talk to you about tonight. What are your views on science and religion? Because you have that people like, how can you believe in one thing and believe in the other? But I want to hear, because I have my own view. We talked about this, but I want you to just share with our audience tonight. What is your view on science and religion?
I believe that science and religion are inextricably bound. I
Mm,
think that science is all around us. We cannot begin to appreciate any of God's miracles
mm,
without appreciate the science that's in it. Like that's
mm.
it. Like everything when my kids were growing up and they'd had to do science fair project, I would say, whatever you can think of is a science fair project. Literally anything. You have a question, we're going to answer with science. A lot of that just comes from the world around us. All of God's creations, everything is science. So for me, they are one. They walk hand in hand. And people say, well, science is about fact and proving, and it's black and white,
Mhm,
whereas religion is about faith. And I
mhm.
get that those things are different. However, to understand God's creation, to really just embrace it, you have to understand the science. You have to
Yeah.
embrace the science. The
Yes.
science is literally all around.
Mm.
Science, technology, everything that we have is just a blessing from God. All the advancement, all the wisdom, all the knowledge. And then talking about just the actual raw science. We're talking
Yeah.
about the grass, the trees, the birds, the drugs,
Yes.
everything. It's just science. Like
Mhm,
every single thing. Every part of our body is science. So
mm.
they are absolutely one.
Mhm, mhm. I love it. And what I'm loving, and you're giving me chills. You're giving me chills. That's, yeah, we have to I have to get a drink after that. That was too deep for me. That was mm. One of the things that we shared, because this month on the Gospelology show, we are actually talking about one of the miraculous miracles of Jesus, when he healed the blind man who was born blind. And I know me and you had this conversation because we talked about how God has given us everything around us, everything that we needed, even to heal ourselves. And when you think about this story, and you think about Jesus and how he could have literally said, "You are healed," and walked away, and he would have been healed. But he did something that was so scientific. Okay. He scooped up some clay, which we know is mud. Okay. And Dr. Sharita, let me see, Dr. Mack, I know that you can tell us that all of the minerals and the things that you have in clay that are good for us. Okay. But then he did something else. He spit in it and he mixed it up. And we can go into a whole nother show on saliva. And what that does, even in our mouth, and how it kills different germs. And Jesus did a mixture. And I guarantee you tonight, and that's why this show tonight is called The Chemist Connection. I know that there was a chemical reaction when he mixed that saliva with that clay. Okay. And there was a chemical reaction that he placed over that man's eyes. And so to see, even in the Bible stories and in the miracles of Jesus, to see those things that happen and the science around that, who can deny that there is a God? Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
Mac, you hit it. You hit the nail right on the head when you said he could just spoke it and it was. He didn't have to do that.
Mhm.
That's just an illustration to me of Jesus just showing us, yes, what you need is here. I'm here. I am the miracle. But make no mistake about it. Everything you need to live and to survive, the medicines, the earth. That's why I said, as an organic chemist, my desire was to recreate some of the things that nature so brilliantly creates. And I say that to say this. When I began my PhD, the title of my dissertation was The Total Synthesis of the Enantiomer of Deoxypancreatisatin. Forget all of that, but I want you to focus on here. It was, I'm going to say it was the total synthesis of this compound. We're just going to say this compound. 5 years later, because that compound was made in nature, it was natural, it's made in nature. That meant God did it. So it's a natural product. My goal was to recreate this because nature only gives you so much. So we, as a synthetic chemist, my job is to try and make it in a lab so that we don't have to exhaust nature. So the total synthesis of this compound, 5 years later, my dissertation title was Studies Directed Towards the Total Synthesis of. There's a marked difference there. I started out with, I'm going to make this. I ended up with, I tried to make it. This is what I learned. Let me write this up and defend it. And so even there, I had to say, okay, well, I'm 5 years into this thing. I tried. You're just not going to be able to do what nature did. Yeah, because nature is brilliant, but that's God. You know, we say nature is brilliant, but that's God. That is just God. Everything that we need is in nature. We're just waiting to unearth all of the miracles that God has for us in nature. We're just waiting to unearth, and God is feeding us a little bit at a time. You get a little here and a little there. You just learn. The more we learn, this is God giving it to us, the more advanced we become. So I always go back to my dissertation, the total synthesis of, as opposed to studies directed towards the total synthesis of. Nature's brilliant.
I love it. I love it. You know, right there is a perfect time for me to take this small little break to introduce our audience to what we're about to do on Sunday mornings. And I wanted to share with them just a little bit about what's getting ready to happen on this Sunday, on August the 29th, where we will be airing on the Now Network. And it's going to be amazing. We are going to be airing on the Now Network at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning on the Gospelology show, where we'll be talking about the miraculous powers of Jesus Christ and all of his miracles. And we're going to be actually sharing science projects with our kids, okay, where they will be in the laboratory with Promac. They will be experiencing science projects, all of those things where we are joining the science world and nature, like you just said, okay? We're going to be joining that with Jesus. I mean, you can't separate that. They're as one. They're as one. And so we're so excited, and we hope that you join us at 9 a.m. on the Now Network that can be found on Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, all of those things. And we can't wait. We can't wait. The information is right there on our page that you will be linked to tonight. And we can't wait for you to be in front of the TV with your your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, and everyone so that they can understand this awesome power and what we have around us. And as you hear Dr. Mack tonight and you hear her passion in what she does and the passion of just human nature and my passion for the gospel and my passion for science, you bet your energy that this show is going to be amazing and your kids are going to really enjoy it. Dr. Mack, I have a couple more questions for you tonight. I wanted to ask you this. What's it like being a woman, and especially a woman of color in the STEM world? Have you ever experienced anything that was out of the ordinary? If you felt anything, could you just tell us a little bit about what is it like being in the world of STEM, especially as a woman of color?
That experience has been a bit of an evolution for me. I would say,
Mm,
starting
mm,
out in Baloo, again, I grew up in Southeast DC, so everything about that is what it is. I grew up in Southeast. I went from Southeast DC to Atlanta, Georgia. That wasn't a huge transition for me. So being a Black woman in STEM in Atlanta, Georgia was fine. I
mm,
left Atlanta, Georgia and went to Virginia Tech. And that's
mm,
where things got a bit interesting for me because I am now a Black woman immersed in a completely different culture. And so
mm,
I'm a minority because I'm Black and because I'm a woman. And at Virginia Tech, most of the demographic was white, which was fine. So that was a bit of a culture shock to me. So being a Black woman in STEM there began to really stunt my confidence.
mm,
I always say I drank the Kool-Aid. I believed exactly what they said about, Black people being inferior and this, that, and the other. And
mm,
although, I'm matriculated at Clark Atlanta, which is a premier HBCU, and I attended Virginia Tech, which is, a great school. From Virginia Tech, I went to University of Florida, same culture as Virginia Tech, similar
mhm,
experience. So I then left those schools where my confidence had begun to dwindle a bit, only because, like I said, I drank the Kool-Aid. I believed what everyone said. We're not as smart. We're not this. We're not that. People, it was a
mm,
lot of passive things that were said. I'm like, so I began to believe it. From there, I did a postdoc at NIH for a couple of years. My experience at NIH wasn't really that remarkable. But when I got to FDA, I became what I call myself as a super minority.
mm,
And I say a super minority because the culture outside of college, graduate school in the sciences is not even American. So Americans are a minority in STEM, and then women are a minority in that minority, and Black people are a minority within that. So that's on like a super minority. So in that, because there weren't a lot of people like me, because the culture was different, because I was sort of shut out of things, I just began to want to fly up under the radar, and I didn't really have a voice. I lacked a lot of confidence, and it's not anything from anybody direct. It's just society as a whole just kind of made me feel like, you're not quite as smart, or you're not quite this. And this is me having gone to Clark, Virginia Tech, University of Florida.
mm,
I lacked confidence in what I knew and my abilities. And I say to people, and I say to my kids, I'm like, at 49, I'm 51 now. At 49, I got my voice. And I begin to say, you know what? I am that smart. I do know, this is good. And so I feel a lot stronger. While I can't name 10 PhD chemists. I still feel empowered with what I know. But
right.
more importantly, over what I know is my ability to learn. And so at this point, being a Black woman in STEM, I actually feel very empowered, but that's
Mm,
been an evolution. I felt strong, I felt weak, and now I feel strong again. And I feel strong so much so that I want everyone to hear it and say, look, you are that smart. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't believe what they're saying about you. We are remarkable. We made everything, as
yes.
Black people. And so, I speak about that a lot now because I feel like I let myself down with that. Like
Mm,
I drank the Kool-Aid, I begin to believe what all the hype. And so,
yes.
and I always say that, like, I got my voice at 49, but I feel strong and I love what I know. I love what I
Mhm.
do. I love speaking up. So right now, as a Black woman in STEM, I feel empowered. I feel smart. I feel strong. I feel
Yes.
educated, and I feel like I have a lot to give back.
Yes. And you're not only feeling it, you are it.
And like you, I have a passion for children. I taught at PG Community College for a number of years. I was over the children's ministries in my church. And then when COVID hit, like you, I began teaching children online, just doing science experiments right in my kitchen. So we'd be on Zoom and we did experiments, and I just, that was a part of my voice. Like, I have to share science because I don't know 10 people like me, which means most people don't know 10 people like me, which means people need to, they need to know that I am a Black woman. I grew up in Southeast. Neither of my parents were college educated. If I can do it, you surely can do it. So
Yes.
I want every woman, child, minority, I just want you to have your voice. Like, don't wait till you're 49 to get your voice like me.
I love it. And you know what I love? I love your transparency. I love the fact that you're okay with saying that you weren't okay. And I think a lot of people suffer because they don't acknowledge the fact that they are not okay. And when you do, you know how to fix it. And so to have you understand that at 49, I'm so grateful that you know that now. It's better to know it now than it's never to know it, you know? And so I'm so happy for you, and I can see the glow on you.
It's just an exciting place to be. Like, I'm so passionate about it. I'm 51, so I cry about anything, but I'm so excited about it. I literally do. But I'm so excited that I was honored that you asked me to be a guest. I am
Mm,
absolutely honored to be a part of this because I want everyone to have their voice now. I really want for young people to know that, trust me about it, you can do it. I mean, and it's just that simple. If you're passionate about it, all you
mhm.
need is someone to nurture and cultivate that passion. And that's what I want to help do. I
Mhm.
want you to see science as something that's wonderful and beautiful and sexy. Like, science is
Yes.
extremely sexy. Like, I
Mhm.
want you to be passionate about it. I want to help with that passion. I want you to say, okay, well, scientists aren't just, the mad scientists that we see, or,
Right.
I want you to see scientists as your everyday people like you and I, just,
Mhm.
this is what we do. This is what we love. And you can look, act, walk, and be completely normal and pursue science. I want it to be
Yes.
okay. I want it to be acceptable.
Honey, you can be fierce in science. Okay, come on.
Absolutely.
You can wear
Absolutely.
lipstick. Come on, you can wear
Absolutely.
lashes, you can wear earrings, you can wear beautiful black dresses. Okay, you can do all of that and be a scientist. Yes, that is it right there. You
Absolutely.
know, and that's so important for us. That's so important for us to understand that. And I think for all children and for all parents, and to reiterate what we talked about earlier, and your dad and how he was so involved with you, I really want our parents and our educators and even aunts and uncles who have stepped into those roles, or if you have a niece or nephew, a cousin, or even kids in the community, because we have a lot of people who step up in the community, coaches and mentors. Keep encouraging our kids. Keep pushing them to do what they love. It may not be what you like, but if it's something that they love, if your child is loving something, be enthusiastic about it. Be at every game if you can, or every track meet, or like you said, be at every science fair, every dance lesson. If you have to sit in the car, sit there and just be okay. Let them go in, do their practice. And when they come out, yay, baby, that's what I'm talking about. And like you said, your dad didn't even sometimes understand the things that you were doing, but he was there. And that's what mattered the most. And so I want our parents to understand, if we just need to be there. Let's just be there for our young people, and let's encourage them to continue to do what they love to do. They don't have to look a certain way. And like we were talking about earlier, they don't have to fit in all the time, because they were meant to stand out. And so that's what I want our parents to get out of this, and all our young people out there listening. If you're feeling funny, you heard Dr. Mack, you heard her, and how sometimes she wasn't feeling like she was fitting in, but she persevered, and look where she sits today. She had what we call patience, and look where she is today, and she's helping the FDA and all of us around the world, even, with things that are going on and medicines that need to be evaluated. She's right in the laboratories and studying those things, and we're so proud to know her and have her with us. I would like for her to share, because like she said earlier, she was helping some kids during COVID actually do some science lesson. It's a funny story. I don't know if she shared it with you or not, but I'm gonna tell a little bit of it. Okay. Her friends were like, I don't care. You need to help us. our kids are not in school and we need you to help our kids with science. Okay. And she did. And I wanted her to share what were some of the things that you shared with these kids? What were some of the science projects? Share, please tell us, tell us, tell us.
You are so right. My line sister said to me, look, Chloe's out of school right now. I don't know what you're doing, but you're gonna need to get this science and like we're gonna need your help. Like I'm homeschooling. This is not my forte. And so every week we met and we did math and we did science. So for the science, we looked at photosynthesis, we grew plants from beans, we did acid-base reactions, we looked at litmus paper, we did all these different experiments just from household items. We looked at different reactions with acids and bases. We looked at their concentrations. They just had a ball. We watched color transformations. We did thin layer chromatography. We did chromatography. We did all kinds of stuff. And these were young kids. I think my youngest was 3, maybe
Three.
4.
Come on,
Maybe
y'all.
4, maybe 4. I'm positive the youngest was 3, turning 4 at the very earliest, and then the other one was 4, and we had another one that was 8 or 9. So, and I could relate to them each, like, the 3 and 4-year olds and the 9-year olds, and they did the same experiments with different understandings, with different concepts that they took away.
Right.
We'd come back the next week. I'm like, what are the 4 stages of matter? They're like, solid, 3 stages, solids, liquids, and gas. Okay, great. Show me an example of this. Can you see that? Can you touch that? We would just reiterate. And it was just amazing. And I was bullied into it, but I absolutely loved it. It was 100% bullied into it. But I can't say no because I am so passionate about, I love teaching. I absolutely love teaching. So.
And I love what you said. It was just household items. A lot of the things that we need to really understand, and you'll learn that more even on the Gospelology show, where we're doing the experiments in the laboratory. It's actually, we're using things that you have in your home. We're taking some of the things, everyday things that you have in your refrigerator, like baking soda that we sit in there to take up the smell, some vinegar, we mix it, and the kids having a ball. We take some food coloring, all of those things, and we mix it in there, and these kids are looking at a volcano erupt, or we call it, that's what the saliva looked like when Jesus mixed it with the mud. But it's all kind of things that you can do with your kids. And that's what I love. You said that you just use the different household items and how you studied the plants, things that are going on around them already. How was their reaction even to you teaching, especially online? How do you think that worked?
We were on Zoom, and the concepts were just grasped so well by those young children. I expect the 8 or 9-year-old to grasp, but the 3 and 4-year-olds, they grasped those concepts. They just held on to them, like just getting them to see a gas by, getting carbon dioxide to blow off and see the balloon inflate.
Right.
Like, so why is that balloon inflating? What's going on? Talking about inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon dioxide. We took a purple cabbage. We extracted the dye from it. The dye from the purple cabbage pulls out. Your water becomes really deep purple. That deep color purple is an indicator for acids and bases. And so they were absolutely blown away by the fact that they could put some vinegar in there and see one color, and put baking soda in there and see another color, and put lemon juice and see a different color, and put lime juice and see something different. So they could actually see, oh, this is an acid because of this color. Oh, this is a base for sure. Well, this one didn't turn colors. What does that mean? And we just discussed it. It was amazing, and they were so enthusiastic. And then another thing is when we grew the plants from the bean, like, well, we planted 3 or 4, and we noticed that some of them grew and some of them didn't grow. Same environment. Let's talk about it. What happened? Why didn't it? That's how science works. It is unpredictable. It is, But here's what I said. Well, we put it in there. We had faith that it was going to grow. It didn't grow. That's okay. That's okay. That's where science and faith comes into play together. So it didn't grow. It's okay. Some of them grew, some of them didn't grow. Having faith doesn't mean you get what you want. Having faith doesn't mean you believe.
Come on, sis.
You don't have to get what you want, but you have to believe.
Yes.
We talked about it. It was wonderful. I look forward to it every day. I was at a 50th birthday. Every time we met, I was at a 50th birthday party. And I was like, oh, I got to go. I got to go home and teach. You're like, what? I got to go home and teach. I got to go. And I also tutored college students during COVID because I know organic chemistry is the bear, right? It's a bear in class. I couldn't begin to understand how they could learn it virtually. So I began tutoring college students in organic chemistry over COVID too, to say, hey, let me help you get through this. This is a struggle.
Right.
So I love science. I love teaching. I love giving this knowledge. I do. I actually love science still.
Yay!
I still love science.
And we love you. And this was awesome, and I again want to thank you, Dr. Mack, for sharing these moments with me tonight and with our guest. I hope that they enjoyed you. I know I did, and I know that they did. But I would love if they can connect with you some way. I know you're on LinkedIn. And I just wanted to know if you have any other means that you would like for them to connect with you with. Just share with us if you have any link that you would like to share with us tonight.
On LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and they're all the same. Sharita McLemore. I'm really easy to find.
Love it.
Not creative at all. It's just Sharita McLemore. So I'm more than happy to help. So I'm available. And I'm just Sharita McLemore on all platforms.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you want to stay connected to Dr. Mack, you need to stay connected with Gospelology, because she said something that was so powerful to me, and I took it to heart. She said, "I am your Robin." And I truly believe that. And now you have Dr. Mack and you have you have Pro Mac. Okay. You have Dr. Mack. And so we're excited that we're going to be here for just to be here to share with our children. We want to thank all of our people who were online with us tonight, and who joined in the conversation. We have people who were talking about our parents rock. They're so proud of you, sis, and keep inspiring others and keep helping others. And they said, Faith, you may not get what you want, but you have to believe. That was powerful right there. You were that was knowledge. That was knowledge. And so I want to thank all of our viewers on tonight. And if you catch the replay, please let us know that you're watching the replay. But please stay connected with us here on the Gospelology Podcast. Watch us on Sunday. Keep in touch, because you haven't heard the last from Dr. Mack. Like she said, she loves teaching these kids science, and we're excited. We have a coding academy that is coming up. We have all kind of things that are going to be happening right here on the Gospelology Show. So look forward to that and joining our Gospelology Club, where you're going to get science lessons and games and activities. And me and Dr. Mack are going to share with the kids. We're just so excited. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And so again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to leave out with the Gospelology theme song. And guys, take it to heart, because Gospelology, there's so many things that you can learn from science, especially like Jesus turning water into wine and Jesus healing the blind. And so listen to those words as we go out. And again, thank you all for joining us here on the Gospelology Podcast. And we'll see you next time real soon, where we know that we stem from him. God bless you all. Bye, Dr. Mack.
Jesus turned water into wine. It's amazing. Jesus even healed the blind. It's amazing. How all the planets are aligned. How all chemicals are designed. Teaching the gospel with a scientific twist. All of his miracles are magnificent. Teaching the gospel with a scientific twist. All of his miracles are magnificent. Oh, Gospelology, Gospelology.